We're going over buzzwords in the industry of witchcraft / spirituality, more on the spirituality side coming up. This is part 2 in just a minute. Hey everybody, it's Mel from Melsdivination. I'm the owner, the operator, and the creator here, and today is Witchy Wednesday. So on Wednesdays, we try to discuss witchcraft kind of content. Anything under the witchcraft, metaphysical, new age, spirituality umbrella is covered on Wednesdays. I also post astrology updates usually on the weekend, sometimes at the beginning of the week, depending on my schedule. I know I have been slacking on that. It's been very busy for me, so I'm having a hard time keeping up with it right now, but I am going to be getting back on track. I'm getting close, so keep an eye out for those things, and make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I do go live, and you do want to hit that notification bell, because I don't always announce it beforehand. So today, getting right into this, we are working on the second part of buzzwords. I'm going to go over the words again as a reminder. So today what we're going to cover, and then we're going to get into the details of each one. Lemuria, different peoples, aka lizard, light beings, aliens, light language, spiritual gatekeeping, cultural appropriation, light worker, star seed, ancestral curses, healing, and lessons, soul mission, life purpose and path, the one, meant to be, and loyalty in a relationship. All right, so, and those last 3 are more trends I'm seeing in readings right now, so I do want to cover those as well. We're going to start with Lemuria, okay? There's a lot of, and starseed will probably, they kind of like align. There is a lot of people in the New Age spiritual community that believe that there were people from another time or from another location. What do I mean by that? So like Atlantis, you may have heard of the story of Atlantis, where it's a myth where Atlantis was a big booming metropolis city, I don't even know how many thousands of years ago, and it sunk. It's in the ocean. At least that's the myth. And so with that, the spiritual community they kind of latch onto that, and they believe that we are born again from timelines of that and brought to this timeline to help heal things. Lemuria is similar. I don't know a lot about Lemuria. There's actually another one as well, the Pleiades. I believe the Pleiades is a star system in the universe, in the world, like outside, in outer space. It's hard to find the words properly because I want to make sure I'm defining it well. And Lemuria is very similar to, I believe, Atlantis. It's another lost city. So all of these concepts are kind of packaged into the same idea, as well as star seed. So the term star seed is now this big thing where it's become quite popular, where people believe they have been brought to this planet to heal, to bring light into this planet, to make this planet raise in vibration, and to fix the planet in certain ways. That's a very extensive concept, so I'm not going to go into that too much. That also kind of aligns with light workers, but the specified reason something is different with star seed is they're from another planet, where light worker is just somebody of light who was brought to this planet, who was born here, who believes that their path is here for good. Okay. Once upon a time on my journey, I believed in some of this. Now, I'm not saying that this is wrong, but it's become pop culture. It's become a huge buzzword. This is what I mean by buzzwords. It's very well known now. It's like the big label. Labels are so big. Everybody has to have a label for something. And I'm talking about the spiritual world. I'm not even talking about any of the stuff that's going out there politically. I'm talking about the spiritual world. You have to have a label. What are you? Are you a starseed? Are you a light worker? Where are you from? Are you from Atlantis? Like, so if you connect with that, that's awesome. I did at one point when I was first starting my journey. And then I realized that a lot of it is really blown out of proportion. It is out of control. And yes, maybe I connect with that starseed concept that sometimes I don't feel like I belong here, because that is part of that definition. And sometimes I connect to space type of movies like Star Wars, Star Trek, things of that nature. But going much further than that, people really take it and run with it. And I'm just not into that. So, and even the light worker thing, I used to connect with that too, but the more that I'm based in reality, in the 3D, in the real world, in the mundane, the more I'm pulling away from those kinds of labels, because it's all light and fluffy and butterflies and unicorns and toxic positivity, and you can manifest anything. And I don't connect to that kind of stuff the way I once did. If you do, that's cool. Now, as far as different peoples, I do see, and I've moved on from some mentors that have really jumped onto this bandwagon and really, really are on top of it, including things like lizard people. I don't even know what lizard people are, but supposedly there's some kind of other species that live like underground or live in the water. I have not researched this, so if you know and I'm saying it wrong, please correct me, because I don't know much about this one. But lizard people and aliens, and then light beings, which are even more beyond what they consider angels. We're talking like any kind of alien, any kind of entity that comes to Earth and does things. That's also a big controversy. And lizard people, I don't believe in lizard people. I'm sorry, I just don't. But some spiritual coaches and teachers are really selling this topic and talking about, be careful, shh, there's these evil energies out there. And they don't mean evil as in like people, they mean like beings that are trying to, they're like tinfoil hats. Like, watch out, because there's people trying to possess you. There's evil entities out there constantly from other planets that are trying to take over the light and win the war of light. And this is a big thing. Be careful, because that's cult type of concepts. I just have to take a quick drink. So that is cult thinking, because you're believing stuff that's really out there, and only so many people can fit into this world, in this little box. And if you don't fit into this, then you're not part of it, and then you're of the dark. Every single human being, and even living things like animals, have light and dark in them. And it's all about how we work with those energies, how we work with those feelings, how we work with those emotions and thoughts that make a difference, can harm or help. And sometimes, I'm sorry, dark energy is necessary. Sometimes people who put up boundaries are considered evil, but you're not being evil. You're taking care of things. So sometimes that dark energy really isn't dark. It's just people not liking labels, or people not liking certain rules and restrictions or boundaries, and you're evil then. I can't tell you how many times I've been called evil. A lot. I'm dark, I'm evil, I'm so negative, things like that. And that's fine. You don't like it, then bye. Light language is the next one I wanted to talk about in this similar category. Some people in the light worker starseed families believe in something called light language. Light language to me, I've never connected to it, even when I was kind of on the starseed bandwagon. It's gibberish. Light language is somebody who believes they're from another planet is channeling the language from that other planet. And it's like, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't even know. It's just, it's nonsense. It's nonsense. And some people may connect to that. I absolutely don't. And I've listened to multiple different people present in light language. Oh, well, maybe you just haven't found your team yet. Maybe you just haven't found the planet that you're from yet. And that's why, because you don't understand the language. Or you're just not enlightened enough, and that's why you don't understand the language. Honestly, I'm sorry, guys. I think it's a scam. I think it's a scam. I think it's people speaking in fake tongues to try to get followers, money, run workshops and try to heal people. It's not real. It's not real. Can we channel things? Yeah, I'm a channeler. But, and who am I to speak about other people's gifts? Right. No, like I'm not. But to have these fake languages that are supposedly from outer space, there's no evidence in that. It's made up. There's no evidence in people living in Lemuria. There's no evidence of lizard people. Like, there's these conspiracy theories and these theories of like, that you really just have to buy into. And then there's reality. And you have to find you don't have to find. You don't have to. You can choose not to. But in my opinion, as a well-rounded individual who is rooted on this earth, you have to find a balance of that. And not, if you can tip too far into these fake beliefs, if you don't know who you are, if you don't have good boundaries, if you don't do proper research, you can just jump right in and believe it all and drink the Kool-Aid and join the cult. So be skeptical if it's not based in something that you can see and prove, okay? Now, with spiritual gatekeeping and cultural appropriation, let's get back to that. They kind of go hand in hand. So, not exactly though. Spiritual gatekeeping is not cultural appropriation, and cultural appropriation is not spiritual gatekeeping. So let's talk about each one individually first. Spiritual gatekeeping is when people go after you or won't share information with you because they believe that you don't deserve that. Now, I'm not talking about culture, okay? I'm talking about, so for instance, I'm going to use an example. It hasn't happened to me. It was an example somebody shared with me, and I was like, oh my God, that describes it so well. This individual works with the ancient Egyptian pantheon, and you guys know I love Isis. I connect to Isis. I always have since I was a young kid. Now, people were spiritually gatekeeping this individual. I mean, this individual just connects with their own deities, connected to ancient Egypt. They do their own research. They do their own thing, all right? So they're not like out trying to steal things from people. They're also not trying to sell things about it. But controversial, you're not from ancient Egypt. Well, who the hell is? Ancient Egypt was thousands of years ago. Nobody alive now was from ancient Egypt. It's just physically impossible. So some people were attacking this individual for following the pantheon. Same thing with like druids. Druids don't exist anymore. For following that pantheon because they weren't of ancient Egypt. It makes no sense. So when, and again, this is different than cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation is a term where you're taking somebody's culture and pretending it's yours, and you're also using it incorrectly. So it's a double thing here. So for instance, a lot of people have issues around cultural appropriation with Native American rituals and approaches, okay? And for good reason, because Native Americans have been stomped on since existence. really, the existence of this country, and even probably in other countries before, I'm sure. And their culture has slowly been wiped out, right? And they were the first, like, people that were really in tune with, not the first people, but they were some of the first people that were very in tune with the land. They worked with the land, they worked with the spirits of the land, they had their own spirits and their own rituals for it, like drum circles and, peace pipe stuff, and things like a vision quest. Those are Native American, very general. I'm not sure which tribes. I didn't overly research this. Now, you guys have, I'm sure, heard the term smudging. I've even used it because it's the way I was taught, and then I didn't find out until much later that's not the proper terminology. So I've slipped and said it by accident, because that was like, when your brain gets wired to say something a certain way, you gotta, like, it takes a lot to correct yourself. So the term smudging is actually from a Native American ritual. It's not just burning some herbs and blowing it around your space, and it's not smoke cleansing. It is more than that, okay? It is a very, and I'm passionate about this for a reason, I'll explain that in 1 minute. It is very ritualistic based, and there's certain approaches that the Native people use that isn't as simple as just blowing some smoke around your house with burning some sage or some herbs, right? And so the term smudging is different than the term smoke cleansing. Smoke cleansing is smoke cleansing. You guys see me do it all the time when I'm doing my cards. I cleanse them with smoke constantly. So there's nothing wrong with smoke cleansing. It's pretending that you're smudging and you're not, and now you're insulting this ritual. That's the problem, okay? And the other thing is, rituals that are very sacred to people like the natives, and I'm just using them as an example because there's a reason, I'll explain it in a second. There's certain rituals that are very almost exclusive or sacred, and you really shouldn't be doing them unless if you've been guided and trained and taught and, like, apprenticed or something underneath somebody like a medicine woman or a medicine man or a shaman, somebody that it has been already initiated. Until you're initiated into that tribe or into that practice, you really shouldn't be doing it, because you may not be doing it correctly. You can do your own version that's not like that with a different title, like smoke cleansing, but you really shouldn't be doing their thing because it's with their guides and you're not part of that community. I hope that makes sense. So the reason why I wanted to use the Native American example, I have some Native American in me. Do I look like I have Native American in me? Absolutely not. How much Native American do I have in me? I don't know, because I have not done one of those DNA tests. I may not even have any, and word of mouth is wrong. You never know, but I can tell you there's people in my family that definitely look like they have it in them. I'm just more of the Irish-Italian side. So I wanted to speak on that for a second, because this is part of this cultural appropriation and gatekeeping at the same time. I personally have witnessed somebody that didn't know my background say to me, I'm not Native American and I absolutely should not connect to any of those things. Now, I'm not saying I was running around doing those rituals because I haven't been trained. But you don't know that I'm not Native American. I actually have a part of it in me. It's part of my ancestry. Does that mean that I was trained in a tribe? No, but it's part of my ancestry. In fact, my grandfather used to walk through the woods behind their house and he would find mushrooms and herbs to work with because he was taught that from his grandfather, who was taught that from their grandmother, who was part of, and who was actually the chief of a local tribe. At least that's what I've been taught my whole life. It's word of mouth though, so it's like the telephone game, so maybe it's not accurate, maybe it's not. But who are you to say that? when you know nothing about me, just because of the way I look, because I don't look that way. And also, I've heard somebody say that this same person who once was a friend until this happened, there was a lot of other things that they were saying culturally that was kind of, I'm all set with that. It was very presumptuous. Also said, if you have a fraction of Native American in you, you're not Native American. So, I mean, I agree with that to some extent, because if you're not 100%, if you're not half and half, and you're not growing up in that community, then you haven't learned that culture. That I understand. But if my DNA says I have it, if my descendants, I'm a descendant of, I'm a descendant of these people. So yes, it's a small fraction, just like I'm a descendant of the Irish and pagans from the Irish world. Again, a fraction, not full blown here, but yeah, it's very rude and it's insulting to say you aren't that at all. Not at all, because I got some percentage in me. So, and I'm not saying that I can run drum circles, but I am saying that if you have some of that in you, those are part of your ancestries. Those are part of your guides. Those are part of your ancestors in connecting to who supports you. So who are you to say that, right? So definitely be respectful of cultures. Yes. You don't want to steal somebody's culture and then try to push it off as your own. That is not okay. But gatekeeping is also not okay. Keeping people out of of certain information and like, you don't need to know that because you're this, or like, it's just, there's a difference between private rituals that are sacred and we don't really share those, and we don't tell you anything about this because you're X, Y, and Z. I hope that makes sense. If you're confused, comment down below. I could do a whole video just on this alone. Now we're going to keep going. We're almost done here. Those were the big heavy hitters that I had really wanted to speak about. Now, ancestral curses, healing lessons, they all are in kind of the same category. Some people believe that when we were born, we have inherited all of those ancestral curses, ancestral lessons, and we're here to heal ancestral wounds. Now, I don't completely disagree with this, but I do believe it's another thing that people have jumped on the bandwagon to make excuses for certain behaviors. So be careful about things like that. Like, okay, well, they didn't know any better, or they acted this way because they were taught that, so it's okay. It's okay. It's not okay. Oh, well, that was just the ancestral lesson, and now I'm here to fix that. That's not okay either. I shouldn't have to be healing other people that I've never even met, that are dead before me. That's not my job. That's not my job. I'm here to take care of me and to help people that are in existence at this time. It is not my job to fix to take on the burden of what people I don't even know have created. I want to do my very best here in going forward because that's my responsibility. But to unwind what was already created, and I'm not saying like nothing needs to be fixed. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying claiming that it's an ancestral curse or claiming that it's an ancestral lesson and you were born here because you have to heal your generational curses, and you have to heal your ancestry. That's what you have to do. I don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You can heal yourself, and if by extension it heals previous situations, great. But to take on the burden of trying to heal people that are dead, that's so overwhelming. Where do you even begin? So that's another like really like fluffy, like concept that, oh, I need to fix this from my great-great-grandfather because he was like this, and I'm going to heal him through the work that I do for myself. I'm going to heal him. I'm going to do these things because he did it, so I'm going to fix it now. You need to fix you. Just fixing you is enough, right? So be careful about people that are like, well, you have ancestral karma. You have lessons that you have debt, you have curses. I need to remove those curses from you. No, 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 no. Run if you hear somebody saying something like that, okay? Now, soul mission, life purpose, life path, they're all sort of clumped together for a reason again. Some people consider soul mission why your soul was brought to this planet and what you're supposed to be doing as a soul. Some people consider life purpose and life path, they're pretty much the same thing, of what are you doing here? What is your gift? What are you here for to bring to this world, to bring to humanity, and that makes you happy, that can help others? That's where those are. And there's a lot of pressure on those terms. Like, well, you have to find your life purpose. I can't tell you, and I actually do past life readings, and I do life purpose readings as well, but I don't love the term life purpose, but I do them. So if you're curious about anything like that, feel free to message me, comment down below, email me. But life purpose, the concept of life purpose can be very overwhelming, burdensome, if you feel like you can't find that. So for instance, I'm going to use my brother for an example, only because it's the first one that came to mind. My brother is not on his life purpose. He's also not into what I do. So he's not like out there trying to find his life purpose. But my brother is a very, very intelligent man. He's a couple years younger than me. And when he was in college, he thought he wanted to be a computer engineer, and he started going to school for that. And as he started taking those classes, he realized, this is not what I want to do. I'm sick of, because he had been working with computers since he was a kid. I don't want to do this anymore. And then it turned into, well, what the heck do I want to do? I have to do something. So he started taking class after class of different things to find interests. And it turned out he really enjoyed numbers. He likes money. He's good with that. And he ended up going the route of accounting. Is this his life dream, his life purpose, to be an accountant? No. It's a job that he's good at, that pays the bills, that pays the bills pretty good, and it's something he doesn't hate. So there can be a lot of stress if he was freaking out, if he was on a spiritual path and trying to find his life purpose because he has to. That would drive anybody crazy, because where do you even begin? You've never been super inspired about doing something. So how do you even find that? And some people, I have to say, go their whole lives without being in their life purpose. They work a 9-to-5 job, or they work a job to pay the bills, and it's not their favorite, but it's fine and it gets through. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you if you do that. Maybe you don't know what is best for what you love, what your gifts are, and that's all right. It can be very overwhelming. So when people put that pressure out there, people in the spiritual community, I mean, put that pressure out there of, oh, well, you're not in your life purpose yet, so you're not going to find love until you get into your life purpose. So if somebody said something like that to my brother will be alone for the rest of his life. He's almost 40. He's not in his life purpose. He's not looking for his life purpose. So does he deserve to be miserable and alone for the rest of his life? That's what some spiritual people would say. So again, be careful what concept you prescribe to. And also, you can take a little sprinkling of it and, and believe some of the concept and not be all bought into it. You don't have to be bought into something 100%, okay? Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was the one meant to be and loyalty in a relationship. So we're going to talk about all these kind of clustered together. These are terms that I'm seeing in tarot readings a lot lately. Most of the tarot readings I get, at least for now, have been very relationship based in one way or another. Somebody's single, somebody's going through a breakup, somebody wants to be married, they're in a relationship and they want to move it forward, all kinds of things. There's, you name it, I've seen it. I've read for it. But a lot of people will come to me and say something like, blah, 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 Tommy is, I'm so crazy about Tommy. I feel like he's the one. Is he the one? Are we meant to be? And those kinds of questions get under my skin so bad. And you guys don't know any better, and it's okay. You don't know. It gets under my skin because these are buzz terms that are so popular, and I don't agree with them. My experience, I've been reading professionally since 2014, okay? Almost 10 solid years I've been reading professionally. And I've been doing readings much longer than that. And I've been reading full-time professionally since the end of 2018. Full-time, my only job, all right? I've done over 20,000 readings in my career, all internationally, not just in the country of the United States, all different ages, from somebody as young as 18 to somebody as old as 75, all different topics, but relationship seems to be the main thing. And when somebody says, is this the one, is this meant to be, you're putting so much emphasis on this magical fairy tale world that doesn't exist. That's a fairy tale. The one in meant to be is a fairy tale. And the reason why I'm saying that is, let's say you end up with the one. Let's just say you do. And something happens. Something happens. I don't know. They cheat on you. They end it. They pass away, God forbid. They end up in jail. They end up being a horrible person. Something happens. Are you supposed to be alone and miserable for the rest of your life? Like, maybe this happened when you're 27, and now from 27 on, you're not supposed to be with anybody else? Really? Because you already found the one. So for example, when I'm being super cynical about relationships for myself, when I've had trouble in relationships, my friend Dave, who passed away, and I've talked about him multiple times on this channel, he died in 2020. We were 27 when he died. And he had been a friend of mine for 17 years. We met when we were in elementary school. And he was always this person that I just thought I was going to end up with. Well, he died. Am I supposed to be alone for the rest of my life from 27 on because my person died? I've been very happy with other people, and I would be completely alone and miserable if I only believed my only person died. So be careful about those kinds of things, because prescribing to the fairy tale dream is, you're putting yourself in a hole. You're putting yourself in a box, and the only way you can be happy is if you have this one person. No. There's multiple people out there in the world that will make you happy. Seriously. If you don't believe that, that's on you. But there are. There's not just one person in this entire existence of a world that will make you happy. And if that doesn't happen, then you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life. It doesn't happen. There's lots of souls out there that you guys can be happy together in a healthy way. So be careful. The meant to be thing, I kind of agree with a teeny tiny bit, but it's not about like we're meant to be together forever. It's more of, if we're supposed to be together, then it'll find a way to work itself out. But like in trusting in that part I believe. because if it's meant for you, you won't miss it. Like it'll happen somehow, and maybe they won't cycle back around to your life for another 25 years, but it'll happen somehow. But should you take yourself off the market for 20 years until this person gets their shit together? No, because there's other people out there that you could be very happy with, okay? And then the last one I want to cover is loyalty in a relationship. I'm sure there's more that I would like to talk about, but this is enough. This is a very long video today, and if you're still with me, give me a purple heart in the comments so that I know you're still with me. Loyalty in a relationship. I wanted to be careful about that too, because that's a big one I've been seeing lately. It's like a new term. It's very new, but I've been seeing it a lot all of a sudden after all these years. I don't know why. And I don't know if it's like to try to get around this question of, are they cheating on me? Be careful if you use that term. The reason why, loyalty is subjective. What I consider loyal, your person might not consider loyal. You might not consider loyal. So when you ask, are they loyal to me? They might not be doing things that you would approve of, but they feel like they're being loyal, and so it would show up that they're being loyal. For instance, here's one example that it has happened. Somebody asked, and this was for a client that was pretty young, probably in their early 20s, from what I can remember. They asked, is my boyfriend being loyal to me? And I saw yes. Now, I don't read around that term. I actually avoid that term. But at the time, I said yes. And a little while later, they came back to me and they were like, you were wrong. I'm human. It happens. I've been voted 95%, 96% accurate, but there's always, I'm not God. So yes, I can be wrong. It does happen. I was like, okay, can you explain? And I really do like to know what I was wrong about so I can grow and be more aware of, like, because sometimes I pick things up and I don't always interpret them exactly as they're supposed to be because I'm human. And so if I get feedback, constructive feedback, then I can kind of grow and work on improving my abilities. Anyway, I asked why. Can you explain what's going on there? And this girl said to me, he liked a model's picture on Instagram. So I dumped him because he's not loyal. Now, I'm not saying online flirting when you're in a relationship is okay. I'm not condoning that. However, that's a conversation you need to have with your partner if you're okay with that or not, and if that's acceptable or not. The only thing he liked was one person's thing, and it was a famous person. It was somebody that he's never going to meet. And she felt that meant he was not being loyal because she had asked him when they first got together not to interact with others on Instagram liking their pictures. So because he liked a famous person's picture, he's disloyal, and I'm wrong. Like I said, it is all a matter of perspective because I would not have considered that disloyal. He didn't consider it disloyal, but she did. And their relationship is over because of her expectation, which is her right, her perception, her right, her boundary. If that's not okay, then that's not okay. But she may have been able to compromise and work with that if she wasn't so rigid in a situation. I have people that get very upset about porn, and porn is something that is considered cheating. So that's another thing, but we're not going to get into that today. So be careful about the way that you're wording questions if you're getting readings, because if you choose a question that is subjective in the sense of this person that you're asking about may not see it in the same way as you, your reading is going to come back from their point of view. And if they see it as not being disloyal or dishonest, then that's the answer you're gonna get. Just FYI there. Okay guys, I know this was a really long one. Thank you so much for hanging in with me. I was almost gonna cut this into 2 parts again, but we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna publish and move on. I would love to hear your thoughts about any of these. Do you believe in lizard people? Do you connect to light language? How do you feel about starseeds? I'm curious. What do you think? Because as I've gotten more and more and more into the witchy world and more grounded and more away from those light, fluffy bunny kind of readers and mentors and friends, the more I feel like some of those definitions are ridiculous. And that's just my personal feeling about that. I will see you guys all soon. Thanks for hanging in with me. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.